What happens when a man of science comes face to face with something he can neither explain nor escape? This isn't a fictional account. It's the true story of Bill Vail, a NASA robotics engineer whose harrowing encounters with what he described as a demonic force led to one of the most unsettling cases of alleged supernatural activity in modern times. Buckle in. This is where science meets the supernatural, and the line between logic and fear disappears. Bill Vail was no ordinary man. With degrees in electrical engineering and a long-standing career at NASA, he worked on some of the most advanced robotic systems designed for space exploration. By all accounts, he was grounded, rational, and calm under pressure, until the events of 2003 changed his life forever. After retiring early due to burnout, he returned to his hometown of Spokane, Washington, hoping to find peace and reconnect with family. But instead of tranquility, he found terror. He moved into an old family-owned property, a modest house that had sat unoccupied for nearly a decade. It was quiet, outdated, and in need of work, but to Bill, it was perfect, until the nightmares began. It started small, whispers in the night, objects disappearing only to turn up in odd places, a cold draft that seemed to follow him from room to room. Bill thought it was just stress, maybe even early signs of sleep deprivation, but then came the shaking. The bed would tremble in the middle of the night. His dog, a calm and loyal German shepherd, began growling at corners of empty rooms. Electronic devices malfunctioned in patterns that even Bill couldn't explain. As days passed, the phenomena grew bolder. One night, while reviewing some home surveillance footage, he saw what looked like a shadowy figure standing at the foot of his bed. The problem? He was alone, and all doors and windows were locked. Bill took the footage to a local technician, who confirmed the video had not been tampered with. Then came the attacks. He woke up with scratches on his back and arms, sometimes deep enough to bleed. Doors would slam shut, lights would burst, and an overwhelming sense of dread settled into the walls of the house. Despite his engineering background, Bill began keeping a journal, not of experiments, but of encounters. Desperate, he reached out to a local paranormal investigation group. They arrived with thermal cameras, EVP recorders, and electromagnetic sensors. What they captured during the investigation chilled them to the core. A low growl, captured clearly on audio, said one word: leave. Thermal imaging picked up sudden cold spots that moved independently of air vents or windows. And during one session, every piece of equipment simultaneously shut down for over 5 minutes, despite having full battery. The lead investigator described the experience as the most aggressive, intelligent haunting he'd ever witnessed. But for Bill, it was more than a haunting. He believed he was being targeted, tormented by a non-human entity, something dark, something ancient. He even brought in a priest for a blessing. For a few days, the house felt lighter. Bill could sleep. The dog stopped barking at nothing. But on the 4th night after the blessing, all hell broke loose. Bill awoke to the sound of his name being whispered repeatedly. He turned on the light and saw what he described as a tall, dark silhouette with glowing eyes standing in the hallway. Paralyzed by fear, he couldn't move. The room turned icy cold. His breath was visible in the air. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished. He packed a bag and left the house that same night, ending suspenseful. Bill never returned to live in that house. He sold it months later, disclosing the events to the buyer, who reportedly backed out after spending a single night inside. The house remains vacant. As for Bill, he moved across the country and rarely speaks of the events except in rare interviews. Despite being a man of logic and science, he maintains that what he experienced cannot be explained through any known physics or psychology. Was it a breakdown? A trick of the mind? Or something far more sinister that science isn't ready to understand? To this day, the story of Bill Vail haunts not only the paranormal community, but also former colleagues who remember him as the most grounded person they'd ever met. If someone like Bill claims something attacked him, and he has proof, what else might be lurking just outside the reach of science? If stories like this leave you with more questions than answers, you're not alone. What do you think happened to Bill Vail? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you want more real-life mysteries that challenge what we know, hit like and follow. There's more truth out there, if you're brave enough to look for it.